Hey, Swift, some people read tea leaves, but we read depth charts.
Darn right. Hey, and we're back in the lab with clearest crystal ball in the Carolinas.
It's the way too early roster prediction show. Let's build this squad before training camp even starts. Let's ride.
Let's do it.
So we're back at it, man. So we've had some time to digest the draft after our post-draft episode. Are you feeling any different about what you saw at the draft?
Uh, I think different. I think the only thing that's changed mentally for me was probably the McMillan pick.
Yeah,
I feel really strongly about that.
yeah.
Um, Aside from that, I still feel the same. I
All
feel
right.
really good about what we did. I'm really happy about what Dan did. So
Yeah, no, I mean that's some damn good cooking. I had to do it. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm bad jokes, but I'm gonna be here all day with that. So before we get started, I want to ask all of our listeners to like this video, please. We'd like you to
right.
comment with who you think on this roster that you've seen is going to be a surprise breakout or a sleeper pick. Just go ahead and drop that in the comment right below because I definitely want to be able to go over those in our next episode. And while you're doing that, why don't you subscribe and hit that bell notification up at the top because that's going to tell you when we post a brand new episode of Pick the Pedigree. So now that we've gotten through all of that, let's go ahead and get this episode going. So if you look at the way the draft kind of shook out, we did some really good things. I mean, I'm not gonna rehash all the entire draft, but you mentioned this with we hit the wide receiver room, and I think that's probably the most appropriate place to start on this way too early roster prediction. So we hit Ted McMillan, but I've also like to add something else in there for you. In the sixth round, we added Jimmy Horn Jr. And by golly, it feels like we're trying to win because later on, early this week or after the draft was done, we went ahead and signed Hunter Renfro. And for all of you
Yes.
guys that don't know who he is, he's the Raider star that was popping off on 2020, 2021 season. And is a Carolina native. You've probably seen we've forwarded his videos on our feeds between Instagram and Twitter. Um, and he's an exciting star. So when we start to build this out, Swift, and I'm looking at our wide receiver room. Let me just kind of set the scene here. So in our wide receiver room, we have Xavier Leggett and Adam Thielen and Tetro McMillan. Okay, McMillan is the what I would say is it would be our X, and Xavier would be a Z or a Y, depending on what kind of offensive system you're running, and then Thielen would be your slot. Now,
Right.
how do you think these guys fit in? I'm gonna give you some names: Jalen Coker, Hunter Renfro, David Moore, Jimmy Horn Jr. fit in.
Right. So Um, let's start with Jalen Coker. I think he could fit in well. Keep him on the outside. He's a big body still.
Yep.
I could see him going behind McMillan, still getting reps.
Yeah.
I don't know about starting. I think it really all depends about how it goes down in training camp. But I think McMillan will probably take that. But I mean, I see Jalen Coker still getting a lot of reps, getting a lot of. I mean, Bryce has talked highly about him, saying he's going to be a big part of their future. So I still see him getting a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
Um, Jimmy Horn, I could see Adam Thielen mentoring him. I feel I'm excited about Jimmy Horn. I think
Yeah.
he's going to have a really good camp, really good OTAs. I think a lot of people I feel like, are sleeping on him. I think he's going to come in and have a really good impact. And even after um, Thielen is gone, I think he can come in and really have a huge effect for Carolina. He just brings speed. He brings a dog mentality. Um, so I'm excited about him. Renfro, this one's tough because um, you can kind of pick and pop him anywhere. We really got to see where he's at because he took a year off.
Yeah.
Um, But I mean, when he was in Las Vegas, he was a sharp route runner, super dependable
Yeah.
for the plethora of quarterbacks that have gone through Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But he was a dependable piece for them. Um,
most
So
definitely.
I could see all of them getting involved one way or another. But I don't think what I think is a good thing is no receiver on this roster is going to have to take a huge role.
Right.
I think what Canal going back to what Canales has said is
Yeah.
everyone just has to do their part. And
100%.
I can really see the vision with that having these many guys in the receiver room.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I didn't even hit everybody. I can tell you that. I mean, we have Dan Chisena, who's a kind of a journeyman receiver. We have T.J. Luther, and then Bryson Tremaine. Again, all guys. I mean, they'll be role players. And then, I mean, again, you're talking. We got to put this thing up to 90 men, and then we'll be cutting down from there. I can't disagree with you. What I'll tell you is, I do foresee that Tetro will carve himself out a big role in this offense. He's your guy that Bryce is going to lean on, right? He's going to be your high volume guy. Then you're looking at Leggett for your potentially take the top off the defense, your gadget guy, kind of the Debo Samuel role. And
Yep,
then Adam
for
Thielen
sure.
and Hunter Renfro, I can see really kind of going back and forth for that slot role. Like, even if it, like, my thought would be, give Adam Thielen his roses, right? Let him play this season strong. Depending on how we're doing, wind him down and really start to bring in Hunter Renfro with the idea, with the idea of that he's going to be taking over the role, like, right. Like, so it was what I'm saying? It's so that's my thought. And then you're looking at guys like David Moore. Like, I think David Moore is a guy that we would try to phase out of the offense if he even makes the roster. And I hate to say that, because he's a guy that's been with um, Dave Canales for at least a few years now. He had time in Seattle, he had time in Tampa, and now he's come to Carolina and done some work with him as well. Um,
I
and
always
that's
forget Canales was in Seattle.
Yeah, man. Him and Dan. That's how they had offices down the hall from each other. So him and Dan,
Yep,
they that's how that they were the power couple there. So, and they
yep.
reunited in Carolina. So yeah, no, I like the wide receiver room. I can see our man Jimmy Horn Jr. carving out a role on special teams as returner. So I don't think there's a huge need to go to get him going, get him going right away. But I mean, I can also see that he can. Uh, he'll eventually. I mean, he's exciting enough that I can see him eventually becoming a guy that receives the volume on this offense. Now, when we get to our fourth round pick, that is our friend ETN, correct?
ETN, yeah.
So
That's
that
his younger brother.
that running back room, let's give that a little bit of love. I'm just gonna fix my notes here. I apologize, viewers. So our running back room is a little like it's a little on the full side, but I think it's deceptively full. I mean, fans, that we had a little bit of a issue last year when we drafted Jonathan Brooks off of a ACL out of Texas. He came back for a game and part of a quarter and retore that same ACL. So right now, your running back room looks like Chuba Hubbard, who we just did a deal for. We did a deal for right before the Germany trip. We have Rico Dowdle, 1,300-yard back from Dallas. We're backing up. Trevor Etienne. And then obviously Jonathan Brooks, who I don't foresee even taking a snap in 2025. I think we'd be more likely to see him in 2026.
Yeah.
You want to review that room?
Um, I mean, I mean, Chuba's the guy. Um, I do think I don't. I am excited because I feel like he doesn't have to take on so many carries, having Rico doing what he did in Dallas. I think that helps our running back room a lot. I think we'll actually get a lot more production out of Chuba because he'll have fresher legs. And I mean, I could definitely see ETN getting some carries too. I mean, I don't think at first it'll be a lot, given that Chuba's an 1,000-yard rusher, Rico is 1,000-yard rusher. Um, but end of situation games. I mean, or hopefully for the right reasons, if we're up a lot, we'll get to see a little bit of ETN. I don't think unless there's injuries. Um, Praying that there's not. We probably won't see too much ETN, but I'm excited about him going down the future because he's a big, violent running back, and like you said before, he can catch out of the backfield and do some other things. So
No, he's an extremely exciting prospect. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that's, I mean, looking at ETN, like I mean, he's an undersized back, but he started off in the slot when he was in Florida, and I think that's really an exciting idea because it really does give us a little bit of we're able to be a little bit dynamic as far as putting flying guys out that, just to create bad matchups. So I'm all in on that. Like I'm like way all in on that. So,
absolutely.
yeah, no, moving right along. Also a fifth round pick. Our Notre Dame product, Mr. Mitchell Evans, tight end. They give him he's a body type, like he's a good receiver and line blocker. But they said that at the end of the day, that what you're going to be getting from him, he's going to be a very dependable receiver. So when you go, double back on this and you go take a look at our tight end room, you're looking at guys like Tommy Tremble, Jatavion Sanders, obviously Mitchell Evans, and then the journeyman Jordan Matthews, former QB, turned tight end Jordan Matthews. How are you liking this room?
Um, yeah, I like it. I feel a lot better about it than in previous years. Um, I mean, Tommy Tremble has really evolved as a receiving tight end, lesser though as a blocking tight end. That makes me really hopeful about Mitchell Evans. Is that's kind of how how he's been perceived coming into the league is just a blocking. Well, not I can't necessarily say just a blocking, but more so blocking than receiving. But he can catch. Um, so he does have a high ceiling to become like a really good receiving tight end. And then obviously I feel like I'm really big on Jatavian Sanders, even though we didn't see too much from him, and he missed some time with injuries. I feel like we haven't even seen the best of him yet. So honestly, like I feel really comfortable about it. Um, I think Tommy can is going to take a big step. I think he's kind of really found his role within the offense. And Bryce Young seemed to have found him a lot, even in games when we were down. It seemed like he was always the one that had the one or two touchdowns of the game. So he's been a dependable guy, which is really good. You need that, and I think Jatavian Sanders is probably the most athletic tight end in that room, and he has potential to be probably a top 10, top 15 tight end. So this
I can
year,
see
so
as he evolves, he's going to be a problem for our division foes. I really like JT Sanders, and I like that we're getting that tight end room a little bit younger. I mean, I know Tommy Tremble isn't exactly old, but I mean, he's been in this offense for a little bit. We've been able to send our friend Ian Thomas on to greener pastures. And then it's a room. Definitely, it's a room that definitely needed a little bit of attention. So I'm glad that they did that. I wasn't in the Ty Warren sweepstakes. I didn't really think we needed that kind of attention. But I was definitely going, hey, if we could figure out a way to give this room a little bit more juice, a little bit more direction, become one of those teams that, they're cycling, 2, 3 tight ends on and off the field, just creating those different looks. All right. So, and then the 6th round pick, we've already kind of talked about the wide receiver room, but that 6th round pick is our friend, Mr. Jimmy Horn Jr. I'm sorry, I lost my words there for a second. Mr.
that's
Jimmy
all
Horn
good.
Jr. So definitely see him. I mean, I think we kind of covered it earlier, but I see him as a mix and match piece, right? As he grows, he could become something. I mean, he is a little on the undersized. He's a little undersized, but if he can carve himself out a role, because I mean, he like I think we talked about, Travis Hunter was the feature point of that Colorado offense. So Jimmy Horn Jr. never had a chance to be a highly productive piece. And again, being undersized, you got to have a certain skill set. You have to have that more of that Steve Smith mentality, where you got to play bigger than your frame would indicate. And I can see some of that through Jimmy Horn Jr. And as a matter of fact, watching an interview with Steve Smith on the with 89, and he was I think
Yep.
he's the one with James Palmer, and he was talking about how he was giving coaching to Travis Hunter, not Travis Hunter, but Jimmy Horn Jr. during his pro day, and Jimmy Horn Jr. was actually taking the coaching. It wasn't during his pro day; it was during like the Senior Bowl or something. I don't quote me, but he was taking the coaching and he was making those adjustments, and he'd look over at Steve to see if Steve approved, and Steve Smith was actually very impressed with him. So it's kind of funny that we ended up with Jimmy Horn Jr. So Steve Smith, I mean, who lives in Charlotte, he's going to be able to continue to work with him, which I think is excellent. All right, not to belabor the wide receiver point, but I mean, I'm loving our wide receiver room. I feel like that we're trying to compete. All right. Now, position groups we didn't talk about. We have quarterback. Not much movement there. You still have Bryce Young, Andy Dalton, and Jack Plummer. I did like the fact that we did offer Andy Dalton, backup money to come back and back up Bryce Young. And I think one of the more unheralded stories that come out of that quarterback room is how Bryce Young and Andy Dalton have like a really awesome relationship. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. And he actually voiced Andy Dalton actually voiced that I think when he was asked about it probably a couple months ago was his decision into coming back, and they asked him if it had to do with Bryce Young, and he said that's a huge part of it. Um, and I really like that because even during the benching and stuff that happened last season, and Andy took over, he was still a mentor.
Yeah.
Bryce was still tuned in. He was still engaged. Um, and you could just see even like the little clips you saw throughout the game on the sideline, like they're just talking back and forth. Bryce is still asking questions. Like,
Yeah.
I really appreciate that dynamic from Andy,
Oh, it's wicked
from
cool.
a guy who was like a franchise quarterback in
Yeah.
Cincinnati, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to kind of take
He
a
went down
step
to New
back.
Orleans,
And
played some games too in New Orleans too.
that too, yeah, he was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
But
just to
the
kind of,
maturity.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, you nailed it. Just yeah, just the maturity. I mean, he's older though too. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I would expect that. I mean, he's an older guy, family,
Yeah.
um, kind of at the end of his career. But I mean, he's giving back, and I can really appreciate that for Bryce
Oh,
because he sees the
100%.
potential in Bryce. Um,
100%.
and yeah, I think he believes that Bryce can do something special in this league, and I think Bryce really appreciates him. Takes a
Yeah.
lot of the information that Andy gives him,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's starting to show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So the position group that we did not address at all in the draft is that offensive line from left tackle all the way to right tackle. So right now, slated left tackles Ikiem, Iki, Iquanu, Damian Lewis at guard, Austin Corbett at center, Robert Hunt at that right guard spot, and Taylor Moton at the right tackle. Now, the story of this offensive line is that the day after the draft, Dan Morgan announced to media during the draft recap that he did offer the fifth-year option to Ike Ekwonu. I thought it was a good pickup. I mean, Icky did have a down sophomore year, but I think he acknowledged it. I mean, I think the entire organization was kind of in a crap hole during that Frank Reich season. And then the other piece is that Taylor Moton is playing on a lame duck contract. He doesn't have any deal past this year. He's got a $31 million cap hit currently. So you want to speak to what's going on our offensive line?
yeah, I mean, he could potentially Moton could potentially take a cut, or we could keep him. It really depends. Um, I think he's definitely worth keeping. I don't think he's been
Yeah,
bad.
no, no, he's
Um,
been excellent. He's just been just shy of all pro, but yeah,
right. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you want to keep him by all means.
yeah.
And I mean, they have Carolina's got the most expensive O line in the league.
In
So
the league, we have paid more on that offensive line than anybody else. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt signings, which were equal to I think over about 80 or $90 million. So
yeah, yeah,
it was
we
expensive.
very expensive, very expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I wasn't surprised that they didn't touch on it in the draft
yeah,
because of those reasons. I mean, if we still did, I would understand just from like a depth uh, perception,
yeah,
just having more depth. I mean, I feel like injuries are. I mean, they're going. The rates are down on injuries,
yeah,
but I mean, things happen all the time. So just having guys to back up, um, just to develop and back up our starters is good. But yeah, I mean, I feel really good about the O line. I think Bryce had a lot of time, had more time, I would say, than his rookie year.
right.
And he was able to start seeing the field, getting comfortable in Canales' offense, and just started showing signs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, and then the other news on the offensive line is that Brady Christensen could have signed anywhere, and I think he would probably have been signed as a starter, but he decided to come back on the home. Like, I mean, I called it hometown discount. I mean, he really did. He doesn't have a huge body of work that would say that, he should be getting premium money, but I think he could have signed a deal anywhere, but he decided to come back and play for the Panthers. We returned Cade Mays, Josh Yman. Yeah, I mean, sorry, Josh Nyman, Chandler Zavala. Again, these are guys. Some of these names, I mean, with the guys that we were starting 2 years ago, and then now those guys are quality backups. Um, I just wanted to kind of fill that in. I mean, we've got a lot of offensive line depth, and I can see why we didn't go out and do anything with it. Could I see us trying to add another quality piece? I could see us cutting down a couple of guys and then going and adding another quality piece from the list of roster cuts. But I kind of like what our room is right now. But we definitely need a future plan for that right tackle spot. I mean, it could be Brady Christensen if they feel good about him. If the price tag on Taylor Moton is going to be a little bit too much, but that's kind of where I want to leave that. And before we get too far, I do want to remind our fans, hey, please don't forget, leave us a comment. Tell us who you think on this roster is going to be a breakout star, a sleeper player, somebody that we should be looking out for. Again, go ahead and just write that down in type that down in the comment section. Please like the video. All right. We love what we do here. We're not trying to become monetized or anything. We just want to grow the channel and so that we can be another reliable source for Carolina Panthers information. And then if you're going to do all that, go ahead and hit subscribe for us. And then while you're hitting the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can see when we post in our newest video. We are starting to get a few more subscribers on. And I'm noticing that our Twitter is starting to add a few more followers. Our Instagram started to add a few more followers. As you can see, both of our Twitter and Instagram handles are right under our name tag. So go ahead and add that on if you have an opportunity. So heading to the end of the episode, I thought it was a pretty good one. I'm pretty excited that we were able to kind of do a way too early deep dive into our beloved Panthers roster now that the draft is over. I do want to talk to our fans about the series coming up where we're going to pull apart the roster position by position. And we're just going to have an episode on QBs. We're going to have an episode on running backs. We're going to come with the numbers. I'm going to pull, win rates and things like that. So we can really talk about it. They may be on the shorter side. This episode is probably going to be closer to around 40 minutes or 45 minutes. But what I'm looking at doing is I really want to deep dive and have a series that we can depend on as we go throughout the off season. On top of that, we'll have our news episodes and things like that. So I just want to let you guys know what's coming up. Stay tuned because in about 12 days, the scheduled release show, we're looking to go live that night. We're very excited about that. So hopefully, our listeners will give us a chance and give us a shot to tune in live. It's something that's super important to us. We love our team. We love talking about them. We love dropping some hot takes and some fun information. So, Swift, you have anything for our fans?
I don't want to extend the episode too long, but I did see something about Ted McMillan versus Travis Hunter, and the fact that when Carolina opens up the season against Jacksonville, both times that we've done that, we've been in the Super Bowl.
Stop.
So stay tuned. You
If
better
that
join the live,
if
and
that
I'm praying.
Jacksonville game drops, I'm already talking Super Bowl 2026, 2025, 2026. But if it happens, and then I'm also paying attention to that New England game because we definitely are going to be going to that one and reporting live from the spot.
Oh, it's gonna be electric.
It's going to be absolutely electric. Having been to New England games, knowing that a lot of our friends and family are New England fans, it's going to be electric, and I cannot wait for that to happen. So the schedule release show is going to be fire. With that, man, I think we're going to wrap this episode. Thank you.
Right on.
This has been one of my
Thank you,
favorites so
man.
far. It's been
Thank
so
you.
good. We
I
dropped
realize how
some
much
nuggets.
more. I realize how much more research I got to do on our free agents because,
Oh, all
yeah,
good, all good. Listen, it's coming. Like we're just getting back into the groove. Hopefully our fans are gonna be patient with us. We definitely are looking for those numbers to go up as far as people tuning into each episode. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, we're doing some good work here, and the product will get better and better and better. So I
absolutely.
truly thank all of you who tuned in and listened. We're looking forward to those comments. Please, again, like, subscribe, right? Hit that bell notification so you know when the next episode drops. And then don't forget, comment who you think your sleeper player the player that's going to win the offseason, win the preseason, and surprise us by jumping and making some noise on this roster. Okay. So to all of you Panther Pedigree fans, Panther fans, keep pounding. Be blessed.
Stay blessed. Keep pounding.